Our student athletes are my favorite part about working in the America East. I think they do the very best in focusing on our three pillars of academics, athletics, and leadership, and it's a joy to be able to support them and have them engage back with us here in the league office. I'm glad you enjoyed the first year of the playoff format in men's basketball. We found it to be very successful, both in getting feedback from our administrators, our coaches, and especially our fans, and most importantly, our student athletes who had the chance to play in nearly packed houses, whether you're a home team or a visiting team, and that ultimately drives the student athlete experience, which is most critical for us. So we're looking forward to committing to that format for many years to come. Well, since I started 4 years ago, it was a priority for us to grow our digital presence. And so part of that is being committed to it, having a strategy. It's also important to not be afraid to try new things. It's okay to fail as long as you're continuing to push forward, and break stuff is one of the quotes that I like about being innovative. And so it's really important to us, and I hope that our fans and followers continue to see that. A bucket list vacation spot for me is taking a train ride through the Canadian Rockies. I love riding on trains and I love looking at mountains, so it seems like a pretty good combination. Tate Bakery in Kendall Square is my favorite coffee shop in Boston, and my favorite social media platform is Twitter because it does so much work for me in terms of getting a lot of the information that I look for, whether it's breaking news, sports scores, or what have you. Great question, Wade. I think working to expand the partnership that America East has had with You Can Play for the past few years to focus on sexual assault issues, which I know is an incredibly important topic across campuses, whether you're talking about sports and student athletes or just the general student body. So any opportunity for us to continue to broaden our horizons and focus on this very alarming topic is something that we really look forward to. I think digital and social continue to provide us the greatest potential to generate more revenue for our conference, as sponsorship dollars across sports and all industries, quite frankly, start to shift towards companies investing more in the digital space. I think that gives us a great opportunity. My favorite non-America East sports to watch has to be ice hockey. Growing up in Minnesota, you just can't escape hockey, so that's my favorite sport to watch outside the America East. And my favorite sports-related memory goes back to just a few years ago when I was at Game 6 of the Red Sox clinching the World Series title here at Fenway. Social media has actually helped us build community in the America East, especially as it relates to building community and network with our student athletes. You know, one of our objectives is to bring some personality to the conference office so that we're not just the people that show up with trophies and t-shirts at a championship. And the fact that our student athletes are engaging with us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, and other platforms, I think is a great example of us using social media in a positive way to build a community for America East. For a long time when I was growing up, I wanted to be an architect. I would make my mom buy me graph paper from the store, and I would spend hours drawing floor plans and whatnot on that graph paper. So for whatever reason, that never materialized, or at least it hasn't yet, but an architect is what I wanted to be when I grew up. For women's sports, I think it's all about connecting fans to specific personalities and players. And so a campaign I can think of that I thought worked well was the ESPN 3-to-C from a few years ago in women's basketball, when they focused on Elena Delle Donne, Skylar Diggins, and Brittany Griner, and really focusing on the personality so that fans could get to know them a little bit more. And then I think once you draw a connection to the player, that draws a connection to the team and ultimately to the sport, and then you build lifelong sports fans. Again, being from Minnesota, I have to say that my favorite all-time pro basketball team are the Minnesota Timberwolves, especially going back to when they drafted Kevin Garnett right out of high school my senior year. I think it's a really good question. I think the keys right out of the gate are to commit to spending time with administrators, whether they're at your current school or at another school maybe in the area, so that you can start to learn about the different layers and variables that go into decision making from a department perspective rather than just a single sport. I think that's the first thing you can do if you're looking to make the transition from coach to administrator. I feel like that might be a trick question. So I'm going to say the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, where I played softball at UW La Crosse. I think the experience of learning new skills, learning how to improve upon them, learning how to succeed, learning how to fail, all of that experience gives you and instills confidence. And that is one of the most critical ingredients for success every day and throughout your life. Venus Williams is a pro athlete that I've admired for a long time. Not only is she a champion on the court, but the stuff that she's done away from the court in terms of breaking down racial barriers and breaking down the barriers of equal pay for women in the tennis majors. She's left a lasting impression on our sport that will never be forgotten. I think this about sums it up.